All right, you guys got it pulled up?
Of course.
Yes, I do.
All right, let's watch it right now.
You go to the gym?
Yeah, I do. We go to the same gym that you got kicked out of. I don't go to that gym anymore anyway. It's
You
too
stopped
boring.
going because they threw you out?
No, I boycott Equinox because they kicked you out.
Welcome to the Faultless State. I am Jesse Lee Peterson. A lot going on in the world. There's good and evil, right versus wrong. And I have with me today Woke Bay. BuzzFeed call him Woke Bay. His real name is Hasan Piker. He is a political commentary on the Young Turks TYT network. Thank you for coming on. Should I call you Woke Bay or Hasan?
Whatever suits you. Whatever you want to call me, I'm fine with that.
And why are you called Woke Bay?
I think it's a heavily commoditized marketing term. It has nothing to do with like anyone's personality or whatever. It's just like an era where everyone is woke or not woke. I don't necessarily agree with the concept or with the being called that. But
BuzzFeed called you that. That's a big deal, right?
I mean, BuzzFeed calls a lot of people a lot of things, right?
And so you don't believe them?
I mean, I guess. I
Woke,
just
babe,
don't
what a
know
faggot.
what the concept of wokeness entails. I don't think it's
Right.
a realistic expectation of humans. We're
Are
all
you
complex.
woke or asleep?
I'd like to think that I'm woke on some issues and sleepy on others.
Which
but
one are you awake on?
Inequality.
What does that mean?
Inequality in our society. The fact that the wealthy keep hoarding more and more wealth while poor people die, even in the wealthiest country on earth,
Should
America.
the wealthy people give their money to the poor?
I think the poor people generate money for the wealthy, but it's not redistributed evenly at the level, at the mode of production.
Should
Not
the-
about I'm not even talking about taxation. I'm talking about just production in general.
Should the wealthy people give their money to the poor?
That's what I just. The wealthy don't create their own wealth, right? How do wealthy people create their own wealth?
Should the wealthy people give their money to the poor?
Yes, but how do you
said
think?
yes?
How do you think
And
wealthy people
why
create
should
their
they
wealth?
give
though?
their money to the poor? Is it their fault
Okay, yeah.
that the poor people are poor? Whose fault is it that they're poor?
Great question, and I'm glad we're getting right into it. Okay, how do you think wealthy people create wealth?
Answer that question first. Whose
Well, I mean,
fault
you
is
asked
it?
me one, can I ask you
Whose
back?
fault is it that the poor people are poor?
Wait, it's no one's fault. Just
What
can
do you
I
mean no one's fault?
can you answer my question about wealthy people
Yeah, I'll
and
come
how
back
they
to you. I'll let
generate
you
wealth?
ask me that, but whose fault is it that the poor people are poor?
It's not a fault of any individual in particular. It's a fault of the system.
Why is it not a fault of individuals?
Because intergenerational wealth plays a significant factor. I'm not a believer in the meritocracy per se.
So it's the system's fault that poor people are poor?
Yes,
And who is the system?
capitalism.
And who is capitalism?
It's not an individual. It's the economic organization that we exist under currently.
So poor people are too lazy and dumb to overcome being
No.
poor?
No.
Well, why don't they overcome it?
Because the system is built, or it's designed in a way to keep poor people as poor as possible while not necessarily killing them.
How is
because
it
you still
designed that way?
need because you still need people to live and come into work every day and work for you
Amazing.
so you can generate profits.
How is it designed that way?
Well, it's the newer design. We've always had this similar hierarchy, like different hierarchies that yielded similar results. We had slavery before, we had serfdoms, and
So slavery is causing black people to be poor?
slavery definitely is important.
Somebody
in
needs to clip that
analyzing why
part.
black people
Slavery
are
is
poor right now.
important.
Yes,
So black people are poor because of slavery?
it's a lot simpler than the way I'm trying to describe it, but yes.
So you're saying yes, that blacks are poor because of slavery?
Black people in the United States of America are definitely poorer than other ethnic backgrounds because of a consequence of slavery and systemic racism.
How do you know that's true?
historical materialism.
Why would you believe what historical material tell you?
Because it's a theory that analyzes history from the lens of materials, from the lens of wealth and wealth disparity and modes of production. Looking at history from who's creating, who's producing commodities.
Are you poor?
And why?
Are you
I wouldn't
poor?
consider myself poor. I definitely make enough money.
Have you ever been poor?
Yes.
And how did you manage to overcome?
I worked very hard.
And if black people work hard, will they manage to overcome too?
Absolutely. However, getting out of poverty, getting out of poverty is one thing. And not everyone has those same means. There's an element of probability that we never factor into these conversations. For example, I worked very hard, but would I ever say that I worked as hard as, let's say, a teacher in Oklahoma does? Probably not. A lot of teachers in Oklahoma have to take, for example, 2 jobs just to be able to feed their children.
What's wrong with that?
Would you say that they're not working hard enough? Is that why they're not being able to escape poverty? Or would you say?
Hold on, I'll pause at 6:03. Go ahead, Zidane. You had a.
I don't know if that's true. What he just said, that school teachers in Oklahoma need to have 2 jobs to feed their kids. I'm not quite sure what the
School teaching is a pretty sweet gig.
Yeah, you get benefits, you get tenure, you get pension.
You get the whole summer off usually as well.
Yeah,
and, you have all kinds of benefits from the credit unions, and
I'm gonna have to look that up. Yeah, that doesn't seem like it's true. Teachers make they're not millionaires. That's for sure.
No, I'm not saying.
But they make
I'm not saying
a decent
that.
wage. They make a living, and it's that's why people become
hard to
teachers.
fire them as well. Almost impossible in certain cases. You see teachers selling drugs and fucking students, and it still takes 8 months to fire the motherfucker. Like, it's, you know what I mean? It's not a bad gig. Let's be honest.
This guy in the chat says school teachers in Washington State make $68K average.
Yeah, and then if you factor in the benefits, teachers get some great benefits, and that's
that's what they.
I'm not
that's
saying
what
they
a lot
don't
of these
deserve
memes
it,
do.
by the way, either. But I'm just being real. Go ahead.
Well, that's what a lot of these memes do, right? Is that they give you the raw numbers, but then they don't tell you all of the additional benefits that teachers tend to get. And so it's really this kind of hollow thing where they're trying to argue strictly. It's like, oh, teachers only make X amount of money. Yeah, well, what about their health care? What about dental, eye care? What about the fact that they get access to a state credit union because they work for the state? They're state employees. They get incredible retirement benefits because they're considered employees of the state. It's like it's not all bad. Yeah,
no, it's not.
When you start out as a new teacher, you don't tend to make a whole lot of money. But then again, very few industries do you start out making like $50,000 a year. Computer people don't even do that anymore.
No, you gotta work your way up. So I just looked it up. It's $42K average for the year for a teacher in Oklahoma.
Jesus, that's not bad.
And I'm pretty sure the standard living, the cost of living anyway, is much cheaper in Oklahoma.
Is way down. Yeah.
So yeah, that's a complete lie.
I think he just pulled out ex-Republican state to try to make a point, and without actually knowing the statistics.
All right, let's watch a little bit more. We're not going to watch the whole thing. We're kind of, I won't say killing Tom, but we've been talking about this for 2 or 3 days, by the way, the Hasan versus Jesse Lee sit down. So I'm going to play a little bit more, maybe like 5 or 6 minutes. Then we'll do the DMCA thing, and then by then, Dr. Duke will be on here. So, all right, 6:03, you guys ready?
Yeah.
All right.
Yes, I am.
Say that it's because the wages that we are giving teachers is not enough. They're not living wages.
Because I would say that the teacher is not managing his or her life right. They're not in control of their own lives. They're wasting. Define poverty.
Cruel, don't you think?
What do you mean?
That analysis is like a little cruel to think
tell
that
the truth
poor
about
people are. It's not that it's not necessarily that you're telling the truth, but you're saying that if you're poor, or even if you're working extremely hard, even if you're working twice as hard as any wealthy person, for example, that just kind of inherited their wealth from their parents, that they're just not working hard enough.
I said they're not managing their lives.
What about Wyatt Koch? Are you familiar with Wyatt Koch?
No.
Wyatt Koch is the son of the third Koch brother. Are you familiar with the Kochs, though, right? Charles David. I don't know if they fund this operation at all or not, but
I know who they are.
So they're billionaires, and they inherited a massive amount of money from their father, and they inherited the business on top of that, and they were able to take, I believe, like $500 million and turn it into this gigantic corporation. Wyatt Koch is their nephew. He didn't do anything, but he is inheriting billions and billions of dollars, and he has all of the ability in the world to, he has all of the access to education and all of the opportunity in the world to fail as many times as he wants, over and over again. Whereas the average American family does not even have $400. Does not even have $400 in emergency cash.
What's wrong with inherited money?
I don't think that inheritance is a terrible concept in general.
So why do you
put it
down?
But at the level that we see it, it contributes to inequality.
What's wrong with it, period?
It contributes to inequality.
How does that
creates
So if my
systemic
parents
issues.
left me $1 billion and your parents left you nothing, that makes my parents wrong?
No, that does not make your parents wrong.
Does that make you be poor?
Depends. Did your parents exploit
So how
my
would
labor?
that, my parent giving
Did
me
your parents
money,
exploit my
how
labor?
would my parent giving me money cause you to be poor?
I'm asking, did your parents exploit
Exploit
my labor?
his labor. Bitch, you don't do work. You write stupid fucking lists on BuzzFeed. Fuck off.
Sitting at your seat? Probably not. You would have to use a crew of people that you have right here, and you'd have to take in donations. But
you don't have to take the job. Thank you.
Yes, but you would die.
Right. You could die if you don't want to work.
That's still violent,
if you don't
isn't
want
it?
to
Don't
work,
you think that it's don't you think that it's kind of violent?
I gotta ask you this.
Okay, ask me. Sorry.
Define poverty for me.
A state of being in relation to other wealthier individuals where you don't have access to the same amount of amenities or same amount of things that society would offer.
And that's what black people are in poverty?
Not just black people, plenty of white people are in
poverty. But you mentioned
as well.
the blacks, though. They're in poverty?
I didn't mention blacks originally. I was talking about slavery. We immediately started talking about black people.
But they're the only one who've been enslaved in this country, right?
Yes, but there's still wage slavery. There's still indentured servitude. These are different forms of exploitation. There's still regular labor. I would consider that exploitative as well, as long as the company is, as long as the.
Can we just pause at 934? Yeah. Why is this guy a thing?
Who, Hasan Piker?
Yeah, the only reason I can think of is he's the nephew of Cenk Uygur, right? That's the only. is that it? That's the only reason he's a thing, right?
That is. Yeah, he should check his privilege because he has. He's getting the only reason that anybody talks about him or that he's even on Jesse Lee Peterson's show is because he is he's the nephew of Cenk Uygur.
And look, I'm not saying, I'm the public intellectual of our time or something like that. Obviously, no, I don't claim to be. But what is this? Why are we? Anyway,
he's complaining about people inheriting money. He basically inherited his job.
He inherited his platform from.
Yes, he's the shining example of nepotism. That's
Spider-Man.
That's his entire career. Yes, I don't know. It's just. Am I questioning myself for playing this video? Maybe that's what just smacked me in the face at a certain. But why? Anyway, we'll watch. What time are we at? We'll watch 2 more minutes, and then I don't know. It's it just slapped me in the face all of a sudden. Look at this guy. What is this ratty ass T-shirt? This is arguably he's dressed worse than Ian Malshong was on Tucker. Like, what the fuck? You can't put on a polo shirt, or it's not even that you have to dress up, but at least medium dress up. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, he is called Woke Bay for a reason.
Is that actually his nickname?
Apparently, that's on the BuzzFeed campus. That's his nickname.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah,
okay.
They talked about it in the beginning of the show.
Oh boy,
Woke Bay. Maybe I just.
You blocked it out from your mind.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe that just went in one ear and out the other. Woke Bay. Joke Bay.
Auditory bleach.
All right. 934. Let's continue.
Bosses are generating a significant amount of profit that the workers themselves did not agree to.
Let me ask this. So I grew up on a plantation in Alabama under Jim Crow laws.
Yes.
And black people were wealthy. They owned land. They had businesses. They went to black universities. Even though the law was against them, they had fathers and mothers and grandparents and everything together. Why weren't they poor then as opposed to now? And they could do anything that they want to. I have an aunt, and her husband got married, and they had something like 14 or 15 kids. and all kids finished high school, all went to college, and they grew up with me. Why were they able to make it back then, as opposed to the blacks who are complaining now?
It's a really interesting concept that I've been thinking about a lot recently. I think Killer Mike did an episode on this. This particular thing that you're talking about on his new Netflix show,
No!
where
Killer
he looked
Mike's
at
gay-ass
the dollar
fucking
and
faggoty
how
show.
long a single dollar stays within the black community. And apparently, $1 stays for only 6 hours within the black community. As soon as a black person makes $1, they take it out of the black community in 6 hours, and that's because there are a lot of commodities that are created by white people, white businesses or Asian-owned businesses. Now, that same dollar circulates within, I believe, the Asian communities for 23 days. It circulates within white communities for 21 days. That disparity is causing a significant economic problem for black people. I agree. And that's probably the reason why
it takes 21 hours for us
in
to buy
the
weed
Jim
shit.
Crow era, in comparison to today,
There's an easy
black people
explanation
might
for
not have
this.
had these same civil liberties,
This entire thing.
but they were able to work together because they were forced to work together.
But they spent their money in white businesses.
They were not allowed to spend their money in
No,
white businesses.
that's not true. We spent our money in white businesses.
I thought the whole point of Jim Crow laws.
Wonder how long a
themselves
Jewish
was
dollar
that
stays
you
in the
had
Jewish
segregated
community.
businesses.
Forever.
They still spent
Yeah,
their
it's
money in
just-
white businesses.
I mean,
Sounds the
but
same
if
thing.
you're
You couldn't
forced,
sit
if you
down
didn't
at
go
a
to white
cafe.
businesses,
No, you could
Forever.
go to them.
I
It's still there
understand,
after
but
we're
I'm saying
dead.
that
You
it's
couldn't
still
sit down
forced.
at the same counter with them, but you were allowed to go in there as a black person or black people and spend your money.
I mean, it seems like.
How do you explain that then? Because
I'm
the
about
black
to.
dollar,
I'm
quote
about
unquote,
to.
is there
Would you
in
like
the
me to?
community.
Okay. So, the fact that legally speaking, there was still limitations of as to what black people could and could not do, probably forced black people to create black-only businesses, and that was the reason why.
It wasn't black only business. White
I mean,
people.
I like how
wasn't
he's
black-owned
explaining to a
businesses,
black
it was
man what
black-owned and
black
operated
people
businesses
did.
I
that
like that
served
too, yeah.
exclusively.
Let me tell you about being black,
Black colleges
Jesse.
is one example of this.
All right, look, we'll check back in on this